So you're at work, and that one person walks in. You know the person I'm talking about. That person where you see them and it seems like they're moving in slow motion. Yeah, that person. So you see them and you think to yourself, I gotta do that. But you are married, homie. But you still kind of want to. But you can't. But you want to. But you can't. But you really want to, though. Homie, don't do that. It's wrong.
And you know this, man.
So how do you stop? Well, that's what you got me for. You did the right thing. You came to class. Balance of power. We got you covered with today's lesson. How do I keep myself from cheating? Let's get it in. So not wasting any time, I'm going to give you all 3 tips to remember, keeping in the forefront of your mind. Because not cheating is unfortunately a daily choice. It's a daily, hourly, minutely choice. It's something that you have to do over and over and over and over again. Monogamy, it's a choice, baby. So I'm going to give you these 3 to keep in your head. And we're going to go in reverse order because it's fun. Obviously, so number 3 will be kind of the least important, number 1 being the most. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. So starting with number 3, remember the streets. They are not greener, as in the grass is not greener on the other side. They are worse than you remember. Now, we've already done videos on this. We've done one for the men and for the women, just reminding you, letting you know of what these streets are like. They are not pretty. They are not friendly. They are not fun. You don't want any parts of this.
I've seen this. I've done this. You don't want this.
So when you're remembering the streets, remember the nasty, remember the grimy, remember the bad things. Now, this is going to be important for you ladies, because this video today is for men and women. You both should be watching this together. But ladies, I want you to take special care to note this section right here, because your women friends, unfortunately, sorry ladies, I know you ain't going to like this, but I'm not doing my job unless I'm telling the truth. Oftentimes, your women friends will be lying to you. If they're single, they're acting like the streets are the greatest thing since sliced bread. They are not. Again, reference the video. The streets are not beautiful. And it's not like they're trying to lie to you. I mean, sometimes, yeah. But for the most part, your girlfriends are lying to you because they're lying to themselves because they don't want to be alone. Because remember, ladies, you function on an equality map in your mind. So your girlfriends, they don't want to be alone. And so wherever they are, they're trying to pull you into that. They want you to be with them. They want you to be equal with them. So if they're lonely, single, upset, they're going to try to keep you lonely, single, and upset. They don't realize this. At least some of them don't. Most of them don't. It's more like 50-50, unfortunately. But just remember that angry, single women keep other women angry and single. So, and just lastly, on remembering the streets, just remember that you ain't all that. You're not the same. The streets are different, but so are you. You're not as pretty or beautiful or handsome as you used to be. You probably weigh more than you used to, and you probably got a lot of bad habits. And even if they're not technically bad habits, you're used to being with the same person for what, 5, 10, 15 years, and now you're trying to go back to the game? Because don't think that this is just going to be simple and easy. You are going back to the game if you cheat. That's how it is. So you're not all that if you're trying to go back. You're just an older, fatter, uglier version of yourself who's used to being with one kind of person. And so you have the habits of being with that person. You don't know how to be with different people. You got to learn and relearn all kinds of new stuff. Just, disgusting. Look at you. The second thing to remember is to remember the consequences. You can lose major things like, your home, your money. But you also have other things that are far more important than your home or your money that you can lose, like access to your family if you have kids, slash in-laws, even friends that are like family, that are joint friends when you break up. Because again, this is part of the consequences. Y'all gonna break up. Somebody gonna find out. You're not gonna be able to be as slick and smooth as you wanna be. You're gonna get caught. You're gonna tell on yourself. Somebody gonna tell on you. You're gonna get exposed in some way. Everything that is hidden shall be known. So understand, you're gonna lose access to all the people that you care about. Or not just losing access, another thing to think about is you're gonna lose love. You might be able to see them, but do they love you the same? Do they respect you the same? Do they look at you the same? Is your daughter gonna look at you and you see disgust in her eyes? Is your son gonna roll up on you being like, I can't believe you did that to dad? I can't believe you did that to mom. What's wrong with you? Are your kids going to not want to have anything to do with you because you harmed mentally, emotionally their other parent? Are you going to be able to deal with that? Those consequences? You might be able to be fine with losing the money in the house and even access to some degree to the family, but you're thinking, oh, I can see him on every other week or holidays or whatever, but even when you are with them, do they want to be with you? And the first thing to remember, if you're thinking about cheating, to have this rolling around in your head, even if the other two things do not stop you. If number 3 doesn't slow you down and number 2 don't keep you halted in your tracks, number 1 should matter the most, which is, remember that it's beyond them. It's not just about them. It's about you, who you are, what you do, who you choose to be. It's about your reputation. Are you okay with the societal scorn you're going to get? Whether that's from family members, co-workers, depending on what kind of job you got, you might get in trouble or even fired. Like I said before in other videos, if you're in the military, you can get in trouble for that, for cheating on your spouse. That's not allowed. And not just your reputation, but your relationship with your God. Are you okay with that? The fact that, it's kind of against the 10 commandments for you to commit adultery, slash, pretty sure it's a moral thing no matter what religion you are a part of to not cheat. Yeah, how do you think God's going to be looking at you when you're too busy trying to get it in with somebody else when you're married? And this last one is, who are you? What about your honor? There's your reputation, sure, even your relationship with God. He can forgive you for those things. But what about you internally, your own honor, your own definition of who you are? Is this who you want to be? You want to be a cheater? You want to be somebody who does that, who has that on their personal record, on your personal resume? One of the things I love is that I can say with whoever I'm with, yo, I've never cheated on anybody. Not because other people haven't deserved it or that it hasn't been accessible to me, because there's been stuff thrown at me, but it has not mattered. It doesn't matter what the other person who I'm with has done. Even if they were to cross a line and if they were to cheat, if they have in a sense earned me cheating back as a consequence, I still wouldn't do it. Because it's against my own personal honor of how I built myself. Even if I knew God would forgive me if I just, confessed and, asked for forgiveness or whatever, none of that matters. I mean, it matters, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? It's still me, my honor, who I am, how I built myself. Who are you, despite the world trying to push you in another direction or giving you reason to do the bad things? In a sense, I see it the same as, smoking, drinking, drugs, driving drunk, anything like that that you know you're not supposed to do. Just because other people do it doesn't mean I have to. I don't care what they do. So I don't care if other people cheat or if there's mad reasons to do the bad thing. I've decided that I'm not going to. Are you strong enough to make that same decision? Is that you? Is that who you are? Is that part of your honor? Because when you think of it that way, you're not tying it to the other person. You're not tying it to the outside world. And for as blasphemous as this statement might sound, you're not even tying it to God. Because all of those other things, you can find excuses around them. Like I said, with God, you can be forgiven. With other people, you can be like, oh, well, I can make new friends or what have you. Or if it's your spouse, you're tying it to of like, oh, well, I don't want to do that to them. Sometimes, oftentimes, what I've seen is people will use what their spouse does to them as a reason to do something back. Meaning, if their spouse makes them upset in this way or that way, or it doesn't make them happy enough. Oh, well, they didn't give me enough attention. So, it's not a reason for you to cheat. Which is why, ultimately, this is number one. It should be who you are no matter what else happens. Keep it in mind. Remember that. So that was the 3 things that you should keep in mind. But let me just give you one last little tip. Just like a little extra sauce on there for you. If none of those made you think anything, think about the last thing I said. What if who you're with isn't like that? They don't have a personal rule that they're not going to cheat in return. So if you end up doing that to them, I want you to imagine this. Think about this when you're about to do it. If you are thinking about cheating and if you're the first one and this isn't some revenge type stuff or whatever, think about it. You do this. Are you going to be okay if they do it back to you? And I don't want you to just imagine like any old person. I want you to imagine them hitting it. Graphic imagination of them doing the nasty with your best friend, with your enemy, with a family member. Are you going to be okay imagining that? Hell, imagine it's a dang orgy with all of them, where your spouse is with your best friend, your mama, and your enemy all at once. Can you handle that visual? Can you handle that situation? Because the funny thing is, even though that sounds crazy, look on the internet. Act like this don't happen, because it does. I've seen it. And it's not pretty. People end up with like children who are also their sibling. So, is that really what you want? And I know that last piece was might have been kind of cold for y'all. And I just threw that on there just to make sure in case some of you still needed a little extra push. And I know telling you to imagine that is difficult. All of this might be difficult, but it is worth it. It is worth it to keep yourself in line because it is up to you to keep yourself in check. All this work, because being married, being in a relationship, this is the hardest job you're ever going to have. But again, to have that life, that amazing life is worth it. So it's worth the work. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's not the same as when you first got with this person. Because again, acquisition is elementary. Retention is hard. Now that's the end of today's lesson. Now, you know the deal. Go ahead, throw thumbs. And if you found value in this video, go ahead and subscribe. And while you're at it, slide this video to somebody who might need to hear that. And I know you love these lessons, so come on back and click on another video. Until next time though, deuce deuce.